It rang twice, and a voice I did not recognize answered. "This is the President's crisis line. State your name and authorization code." "Pike Logan. Code Victor 9er0. Patch me through to Wolf, then patch me through to the Oversight Council." There was a pause, then a click, and Wolf's voice came through, sharp and immediate. "Pike, what have you got?" "Sardar is in the US. He's going to poison the water in DC. The chat logs confirm it." "I'm sending Knuckles and Brett to stop him. The Taskforce is not authorized to operate CONUS. Then change the authorization." Another pause. When Wolf spoke again, his voice was quieter, as if he had moved away from someone else in the room. "How sure are you? I have 3 attacks, 3 continents, and a direct order to kill the ghost after he finishes his job. I am sure enough to bet my life on it." "You're betting more than your life, Pike." "I know." The line went silent for a long moment. Then Wolf said, "Do it. I'll handle the council." I hung up and turned to Jennifer. "Get Knuckles on the plane." "He's going to DC. What about us?" I looked at the skyline. Somewhere in the city, a man with a camera was preparing to change the world. We stay. We stop the ghost. The ghost's payment. The ghost walked up a service alley in the Recoleta district, past a row of shuttered shops. The third one on the left, a butcher shop with a faded sign reading Carniceria San Martin, had a light on behind the steel grate. He rapped on the door once, then twice, then a third time with a pause in the middle. The grate lifted. Reynaldo, a man with a pockmarked face and a gold tooth, gestured him inside. The back room smelled of cured meat and cordite. On a stainless steel table lay the Pelican case, a plastic bag of Semtex, and a small silenced pistol. Ronaldo lit a cigarette and said, "The credit card you used to rent the car, someone asked about it at the flea market." 2 women, one American, one who looked Lebanese. The ghost stopped mid-stride. "When?" "This afternoon. The shop owner called me. He said the women were asking about the name on the card." The ghost's mind rearranged itself. The hotel, the car, the credit card. If they had traced the card, they would trace the hotel. He had maybe an hour. "Take the card," the ghost said. "Burn it. Then throw the ashes in the sewer. That'll cost you extra." "No, that will cost you nothing." The ghost drew the silenced pistol, aimed at the bridge of Ronaldo's nose, and fired once. The sound was a wet crack, no louder than a fist hitting a pillow. Ronaldo crumpled sideways against the table. The ghost wiped the pistol on Ronaldo's shirt, pocketed the suppressor, and opened the Pelican case. And inside, a Sony PXWZ450 broadcast camera, the lens replaced with a custom crossbow mechanism, a quiver of 4 bolts, and a suicide vest packed with Semtex and ball bearings. He checked each component quickly, efficiently, the way a pilot runs a pre-flight checklist. He closed the case, picked up the silenced pistol, and walked out the back door. A boy of about 12 was sitting on a milk crate nearby, repairing a bicycle chain. The ghost pressed a $100 bill into the boy's hand and said, in broken Spanish, "Deliver this letter to the front desk of the Alvear Palace Hotel. Wait 10 minutes after I leave, then go." "Yes?" The boy nodded, eyes fixed on the bill. The ghost walked away. The credit card was already gone, burned in a waste oil drum behind the butcher shop. The crossbow was loaded, the suicide vest was strapped under his jacket. Now he needed a safe place to wait. The ghost's fear. The ghost sat on a concrete floor in a hostel that smelled of sweat and cheap detergent. His legs were crossed, his back against the wall, and his hands were wrapped around a plastic cup of cold water that he had not drunk from in an hour. Omar stood by the window, peering through the blinds. Ramzi sat on the lower bunk, his hands clasped between his knees. The room was small, windowless except for the one Omar was using, and the only light came from a bare bulb that buzzed like an insect. "Khalil is dead," Omar said. "They took his computer." "I know," the ghost said. "They know about the hotel. They know about the credit card. They know about us. They know about you," the ghost said. "They do not know about me." Omar turned from the window. His face was tight, the skin around his jaw pulled white. "They have a woman. She was in Iguazu, and now she is here. She is tracking us. Then we change our pattern. We cannot change the mission." The ghost set down the cup of water. He stood up slowly, his knees cracking in the silence. He walked to the corner of the room and picked up the Pelican case. The camera was inside, the crossbow loaded, the bolt resting in its groove like a snake waiting to strike. "The mission will proceed," he said, "but we will not stay in hotels. We will not use credit cards. We will operate like ghosts." "We are already ghosts," Omar said. "No, we are targets." "There is a difference." He opened the case and ran his fingers over the camera lens. The metal was cold, and the mechanism inside gave a soft click when he pressed the zoom ring. "The diversion will still work," he said. "Yasir and Fatima will drive the VBIED to July 9th Avenue. When the ceremony begins, they will detonate it. The security forces will respond to the explosion, and we will enter the AMIA center through the chaos. And if they are stopped, they are not meant to survive the operation. Their sacrifice clears our path." Omar said nothing. The ghost turned and looked at him directly. "Tomorrow, I will walk into that building with a camera, and I will kill the Prime Minister of Israel. And after that, I will be dead. That is what I signed for." "What did you sign for?" Omar's mouth opened, then closed. He had no answer. The ghost walked back to the concrete floor and sat down. He closed his eyes and listened to the city hum outside the thin walls. The hotel evacuation. The ghost's phone vibrated. A single pulse. The boy had delivered the letter. He counted to 30, then pulled out a second phone, a burner with a cracked screen that Khalil had set up. On the screen, a live feed from a hidden camera in the lobby of the Alver Palace Hotel. The camera showed a dozen police cars pulling up, officers in riot gear pouring out, their weapons drawn. The ghost held the phone so Omar could see. They would have been on us in another 10 minutes. Omar's breath caught. How did they find us? The credit card, the women at the flea market. They traced it to the hotel. The ghost pocketed the phone and slung the Pelican case over his shoulder. "We leave now. Back alley. No lights. We dump the rental car in the Rio de la Plata and walk to the hostel. From now on, we only move on foot." They slipped out the back door of the Alvear Palace's service entrance just as the first battering ram slammed into the lobby. The ghost did not look back. In his mind, he was already counting the steps to the next safe room, the next hole he could disappear into. They had nearly walked into a trap. Next time, they would not be lucky. The VBIED chase. Jennifer's voice came over the radio, calm and precise, the way she sounded when she was about to do something dangerous. "I have the Renault. It's moving north on July 9th Avenue. Jennifer's voice. I was in the TOC, staring at a map that showed a single red dot pulsing on a grid of Buenos Aires streets. Shoshana's partner, the Mossad operative Aaron, was driving the chase car, with Jennifer in the passenger seat. They had been following the Renault for 20 minutes, waiting for it to park. "It's not parking," Jennifer said. "It's slowing down near the obelisk." "That's the diversion point," I said. "They're going to detonate it there. We're going to stop it." "Jennifer," but she was already gone. The radio went quiet, and all I could hear was the hum of the TOC's air conditioning and the distant sound of sirens. I watched the red dot stop moving. It had reached the plaza in front of the obelisk, a wide expanse of concrete that thousands of people would cross during the ceremony. Shoshana appeared beside me, her eyes on the same screen. "He is going to kill the driver before she detonates," she said. "Who?" "Aaron. He is going to shoot the driver while Jennifer drives alongside." "That's suicide." "No, it is Israeli math." I grabbed the radio. "Aaron, do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. Wait for backup." The radio crackled. "No time," Aaron said. And then the red dot on the screen started moving again, faster, swerving off the main avenue and into a narrow side street. The chase car followed. I heard the sound of screeching tires, a burst of automatic gunfire, and then a crash that filled the radio with static. "Jennifer? Jennifer, come in." The static continued for 10 seconds. Then Jennifer's voice, breathless but steady. "We stopped the car. It's in a park. The driver is dead. Casualties? No civilians, but the bomb didn't detonate." "How big is it?" There was a pause. Then Jennifer said, "It's small, packed with fireworks and gasoline, but not a lot of Semtex. This wasn't designed to kill. It was designed to make noise." I looked at the map. The red dot had stopped in a small park, far from the center of the city. "It's a diversion," Shoshana said. I knew she was right. The VBIED was never meant to kill anyone. It was meant to pull the security forces away from the real target. "Where is the ghost?" I asked. Shoshana's face went pale. She reached for a different radio, one that was connected to the security feed at the AMIA center. He is already inside. Khalil's panic. Shoshana saw him first. A man in a cheap suit standing near the monkey cage in Echo Park, his hand buried in his jacket pocket, his eyes locked on her. She recognized the face from the Iguazu meeting, the Hazel operative Khalil, the one who had touched the ghost's sleeve at the falls. She did not look at him directly. She kept walking, her pace steady, her hand brushing the grip of the pistol inside her jacket. Khalil's mouth moved. He was speaking into a hidden microphone. Then he saw her look away, saw her pretend to examine a sign about capuchin monkeys, and he understood. He bolted. Shoshana drew her pistol and shouted in Spanish, "Police, stop!" Khalil did not stop. He crashed through a hedge, knocked over a trash can, and pulled a compact pistol from his jacket. He fired twice wild shots, hitting a tree and a park bench. Two uniformed Argentine police officers ahead of him turned, drew their weapons, and shouted for him to drop his. Khalil shot them both. The first officer took a round in the throat and went down without a sound. The second was hit in the leg, spun, and collapsed behind a concrete planter. Khalil kept running, his eyes scanning for an exit, his pistol swinging back toward Shoshana. She dropped to one knee and fired 3 times. The first shot missed. The second caught Khalil in the hip, spinning him. The third punched through his ribs just below the armpit. He stumbled, caught himself on a low-hanging branch, and then Pike was there, standing over him, his rifle pressed against Khalil's temple. "Where is he?" Pike said. Khalil coughed blood and smiled. Pike pulled Khalil over onto his side. From his jacket pocket fell a white plastic key card. Fiera Hotel, the logo printed in blue script. Pike picked it up, his fingers already pressing his radio. "TOC, this is Pike. We have a location. Send a team to the Fiera Hotel right now." But Shoshana knew, even as he said it, that the ghost would not be there. He was too careful. He was already gone. The crossbow. The ghost walked through the gate of the Amaya Jewish Center with a camera in his hands and a badge on his chest. The badge read, Amin Nasser, cameraman, Holy Light News Network. The camera was a Sony PXWZ450, a professional broadcast model that weighed 12 pounds and cost $30,000. The guards at the entrance looked at his badge, then at his face, then at the camera. They did not ask him to open it. He walked into the courtyard and found a spot near the stage. The Israeli Prime Minister was already there, standing with the U.S. Secretary of State, Amanda Croft, and a cluster of aides. First, unquote. The ghost adjusted the camera on his shoulder and pressed the zoom ring. The crossbow bolt slid into place. He waited. The ceremony began. Speeches were read, wreaths were laid, and the crowd of dignitaries watched in respectful silence. The ghost did not move. He held the camera steady, his finger resting on the trigger mechanism. Then he saw a face in the crowd. It was a man he had not seen in 10 years. A man who had captured him twice, who had locked him in a prison that was not a prison, who had watched him sleep for a decade and never once let his guard down. The man was standing at the edge of the courtyard, talking into a radio, his eyes scanning the crowd. The ghost smiled. He adjusted the camera slightly, aiming it not at the Prime Minister, but at the security guard standing to the left of the stage. The guard was watching the crowd, his hand resting on his holster, his body attuned to the wrong kind of threat. The ghost pulled the trigger. The crossbow bolt shot out of the lens and struck the guard in the throat. He made a sound like a wet cough and collapsed. The crowd erupted. Shouts, screams, the screech of chairs being knocked over. The ghost dropped the camera and reached into his jacket. He pulled out a small detonator, the kind that fit in the palm of a hand. "Nobody move," he shouted. The crowd froze. The Prime Minister turned to look at him. So did Amanda Croft. The ghost saw the calculation in their eyes, the assessment of distance, threat, and opportunity. He held up the detonator. "This controls a suicide vest I am wearing. If I let go of this button, the vest detonates. There is no way to stop it." The Prime Minister's security detail had drawn their weapons, but they were not firing. They could see the vest, strapped to the ghost's chest, the wires visible against the fabric of his shirt. "You are going to walk with me," the ghost said, "you and the secretary. We are going to leave through the back gate. If anyone tries to stop us, I will drop the button and we will all die together." The Prime Minister looked at Amanda Croft. She nodded, almost imperceptibly. "We will go with you," the Prime Minister said. The ghost smiled again. Good. The car. I saw the ghost step into the courtyard, saw him drop the camera, saw the guard fall. I saw him pull out the detonator and heard him shout the threat. I saw him take two of the most protected people on the planet hostage. And I could not stop him. We have to go in, Shoshana said. We can't. The vest is real. If we rush him, we kill the Prime Minister. So we let him walk away? For now. The ghost led the Prime Minister and Amanda Croft through the back gate. A car was waiting there, a black Renault, engine running, door open. The ghost pushed the Prime Minister into the back seat, then Amanda Croft, then got in himself. The car pulled away. I grabbed the radio. Veep, I need a tracker on that vehicle, now. I don't have visual. Find it. The radio went quiet. I stood in the courtyard surrounded by screaming crowd and armed security forces who had no idea what to do. Shoshana was already running toward the gate. Where are you going? To follow him. You can't. The car is gone. Then I will find it. She stopped at the gate and looked back at me. Her eyes were wide and her voice was shaking. He was looking at you, Pike. He saw you in the crowd, and he chose to take them instead of killing you. I did not say anything. I grabbed my radio and ran. The plane. The black Renault screamed through the streets of Buenos Aires, weaving past taxis, running red lights, scraping its side mirror against a parked delivery truck. In the back seat, the ghost held the detonator in his lap, his thumb pressed firmly against the button. The Israeli Prime Minister sat rigid beside him, his hands flat on his knees. Amanda Croft pressed herself against the opposite door, her jaw tight, her eyes fixed on the ghost's thumb. The driver, Omar, took a sharp turn onto a service road that led to the general aviation section of Jorge Newbery Airport. A chain-link fence parted where someone had cut the lock. Beyond it sat a white Bombardier Learjet 45, its engines whining, its rear staircase already lowered. I paid for a strip alert charter 2 days ago, the ghost said, as if explaining a routine travel arrangement. The crew is on board. We will fly south. Where? The Prime Minister asked. Somewhere you do not need to know yet. The car stopped next to the Learjet's staircase. The ghost stepped out first, still holding the detonator. Omar stayed in the driver's seat, ready to drive the car away and ditch it in the river. The ghost gestured with his chin toward the stairs. Come, together. One hand on my shoulder at all times. The Prime Minister climbed the stairs first, his hand on the ghost's shoulder. Amanda Croft followed, her fingers brushing the ghost's jacket. Inside the cabin, a steward in a navy blazer stood frozen, holding a tray of bottled water. Sit, the ghost said, both of you in the forward seats. Buckle in. He turned to the cockpit door and rapped on it twice. The co-pilot opened it, saw the detonator, and went pale. File a flight plan for Ushuaia, the ghost said. No deviations, no radio calls to a TC that mention a hijacking. If I see a military escort, I will drop this button and we will all cease to exist. Do you understand? The co-pilot nodded. Good. Start the taxi. The Learjet lurched forward. The ghost sat in the rear-facing seat opposite his hostages, the detonator resting on the armrest between them. Through the window, he watched the terminal lights slide past, then the runway lights, then nothing but darkness. He was airborne. The pursuit. By the time I reached the general aviation fence, the Learjet was already a speck of light climbing into the southern sky. Veep's voice crackled in my ear. I have a transponder. Call sign LVGKX. Heading 190, speed 300 knots, climbing through 6,000 feet trinrail them. Keep the Rockstar bird hot. I sprinted across the tarmac toward our Gulfstream, Jennifer already in the right seat with a headset on. Aaron and Shoshana piled in behind me, the door slamming shut before the engines had even reached full idle. Request clearance to Ushuaia, I said. File it as a corporate repositioning flight. The pilot's voice came back over the intercom. Cleared to taxi, Rockstar. Follow the yellow center line to runway 13. Winds calm. I strapped into the jump seat behind the cockpit as the Gulfstream rolled forward. Through the windscreen, I could see the Learjet's light fading fast, already past the horizon. He's running south, Shoshana said, not east. That was not the plan. He changed the plan when he saw me. We lifted off. The ground fell away. Buenos Aires shrank to a grid of amber lights, then dissolved into the black curve of the earth. The Learjet's transponder blipped on our radar display 100 nautical miles ahead, steady on course. Then, the ghost's secondary phone showed a cellular trace. It was active. He had not turned it off. I pulled out my satellite phone and dialed the number Creed had pulled from the encrypted chat, the ghost's personal line, the one he used to communicate with Sardar's network. It rang once, twice. The call connected. No one spoke for a moment. Then a voice said, in careful English, "Who is this?" I held the phone close to my lips. "Hello, Raman. My friends call me Mr. Pink." The silence on the other end was long, cold, and absolute. I waited. The ghost said nothing, but he did not hang up. He pressed the phone to his ear and listened. Episode 5, The Cabin in the Andes. I'm in the Rockstar Bird, chasing the hostage plane, about to make the riskiest call of my career. I'm going to phone the ghost directly. We're 50 nautical miles behind the Learjet, running dark with our transponder off. The captain is in the cockpit, monitoring the A-4 fighter that's been shadowing the stolen aircraft. I have a satellite phone in my hand and a plan that Jennifer has already told me is insane. You're going to call him? I'm going to call him. I dialed a number that the Taskforce analyst Creed extracted from the Ghost Signal account. The phone rings twice. Then a voice answers calm, measured, with the faintest accent. "Who is this?" I take a breath. "You know who this is. You saw me in the courtyard. You could have killed me, but you chose to take the hostages instead." "That tells me you're not done yet." A pause. Then the ghost says, "Mr. Pink, close enough. What do you want?" I look at Jennifer. She's watching me, her hand resting on the grip of her carbine. I say, "I want to give you something. Information you don't have. The Iranians, your handlers, they're planning to kill you after this mission. I've seen the chat logs. The order came from Tehran. Execute the mission, then terminate him." That's the translation. The ghost says nothing. I wait. "Your name is in the same log, Mr. Pink. You're the predator who captured me twice." "You think I would believe anything you say?" "The name is Pike, and you don't have to believe me. You just have to look at what happens when the job is done. You think Omar is going to let you walk away? You think Sardar paid for this mission out of loyalty? You're a tool, and when the tool has served its purpose, they'll throw it away." The ghost is silent for a long time. When he speaks, his voice is quieter. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I don't want to blow your head off. I want to watch you realize that the men you're dying for are the same men who are going to kill you." I hang up. I look at the phone in my hand, then at the dark sky ahead of the plane. "Did it work?" Jennifer asks. "I don't know, but I planted the seed." The diversion. The ghost sits in the cockpit of the stolen Learjet, the satellite phone in his lap. The call from Mr. Pink from Pike is still echoing in his head. He repeats the words, "Execute the mission, then terminate him." He looks at Omar, who is watching him from the jump seat. "Who was that?" "Nobody," the ghost says. He stands and walks into the cabin. The Israeli Prime Minister and Amanda Croft are handcuffed to their seats. They are watching him, eyes sharp, waiting for the moment to act. The ghost removes the battery from the satellite phone and puts it in his pocket. He takes the dead phone and drops it on the floor. He goes to the cockpit and speaks to the co-pilot. "Change course. I want to land at a private airstrip near the old airport at Ushuaia." The co-pilot hesitates. The ghost pulls the detonator from his vest. Change course. 20 minutes later, the Learjet descends through a layer of clouds and touches down on a narrow strip of asphalt at the edge of the Andes. The ghost sees the A-4 fighter land at the main airport 3 miles away. He has maybe 30 minutes before the Argentinians figure out where he is. He turns to Omar. "Get the hostages off the plane." "Where are we going?" "Into the mountains. I've already arranged a helicopter." Omar's face goes pale. "You did what?" "I used the credit card, the burned one. I chartered a helicopter under a false story, a sunset flight for a wealthy American. They'll have it waiting at the old terminal." Omar draws his pistol. "You made a decision without consulting me?" The ghost stares at him. "Keep the pistol up, Omar. It will be the last thing you do." Omar does not lower the weapon. The ghost smiles. "Put it away. We have a helicopter to catch." The zoo. Knuckles is at the National Zoo with Brett and a DHS badge that feels thinner than the air in his lungs. The zoo security chief is a heavyset man in a blue uniform who has already told them twice that the request is irregular. Knuckles shows him the badge a third time. I'm not here to take your computers. I just need you to give my analyst access to your security feeds. The man sighs and leads them to a cramped office with a bank of monitors. Joe. Creed, the Taskforce analyst, is already remote connected. He starts running facial recognition against the stills from the Cotter license. 20 minutes later, Creed's voice comes over the radio. I've got him. He entered the zoo at 2:17 p.m. and walked directly to the elephant exhibit. He spent 12 minutes there, then he left. Who did he meet? Freeze the frame. I'm sending you a capture. Knuckles looks at the image on the screen. A man in a dark jacket standing in front of the elephant dung display. He's talking to two men, both in motorcycle jackets, both wearing patches. Knuckles recognizes the patches. Hell's Angels. Brett says, that's not good. No, that's not good at all. He calls Pike. The cabin. The helicopter flight takes an hour and 40 minutes through the Andes, the rotors shaking in the thin air. The ghost sits with his back to the pilot, the detonator in his hand, watching Omar watch him. They land on a gravel bar in the middle of a river, a wide island of rocks and stunted trees. In the distance, the ghost sees a cabin. Its roof collapsed, the windows shattered. This is the place, the pilot says. The ghost forces the hostages out. The pilot stays in the helicopter, his hands shaking on the collective. Stay here, the ghost says. Keep the engine running. He walks to the cabin. The door hangs on one hinge. Inside, the floor is dirt, and the roof leaks light through gaps in the planks. Omar follows him. We need to execute the hostages now. Before rescue forces track us. No, what do you mean? I want to know about the final attack. The one Sardar didn't tell me about. The one I'm supposed to die for. Omar's jaw tightens. That's not your concern. It is my concern. I'm the tool. I want to know what the tool is being used for. Omar reaches for his pistol. The ghost is on him before the weapon clears the holster. He grabs Omar's wrist, twists it, and drives the ice pick into the soft tissue behind Omar's jaw. Omar goes down. The ghost stands over him, the ice pick dripping. Behind him, a voice says in clear Arabic, I heard everything. The ghost turns. The Israeli Prime Minister has risen from the crate, his bound hands still tied but his body upright. You speak Arabic? I speak many languages. I heard your accomplice. He said the final attack is a dirty bomb in the West Bank, a radiological device. The ghost looks at the body of Omar, then at the Prime Minister. Why would you tell me this? You know I will use it. Because you already know, the Prime Minister says. You killed the man who was keeping it secret. That tells me you are not a loyal soldier. That tells me you are a man who wants to know the truth. The ghost is silent. He looks at the hillside, the dark trees, the gray sky closing in around the cabin. While Knuckles closes on the water plant, another team closes on the cabin. 50 miles away, over the Andes, I am ready to jump from a Gulf Stream. The raid. Knuckles follows the phone trace to the McMillan sand filtration site. It's an abandoned complex of brick silos and rusted pipes, surrounded by a chain-link fence. The phone is inside the perimeter. He calls Brett. We're going in hot. No backup, no permission. Brett says nothing. He racks the slide on his carbine. They cross the fence at a gap in the chain link. The ground is muddy, churned by truck tires. Ahead, Knuckles sees the truck a tanker connected to an outlet pipe by a thick hose. Two men are standing beside the truck, and one of them has a pistol in his hand. Knuckles does not announce himself. He fires 3 rounds, center mass. The first man drops, the second man spins and fires wild. Brett puts 2 rounds into his chest. Knuckles walks forward, carbine low, and finds the second man still alive, gasping on the ground. The man's helmet is off, and his jacket patches are visible. Hell's Angels, California chapter. Don't, the man says. Don't kill me. Knuckles looks at him. You'll see if the local sheriff Marley can send an ambulance. He fires 1 round. The man on the ground goes still. Knuckles turns and sees the third man, the Iranian commander, Sardar, sitting in the cab of the truck, his hands in the air. Don't shoot, Sardar says. I surrender. Knuckles puts him in handcuffs. The airstrike. I land on the island with Jennifer, Veep, one of our assaulters, and Aaron, Shoshana's partner. We approach the cabin in a loose formation, carbines up. The cabin is dark, the door is open. We breach inside and find the Israeli Prime Minister and Amanda Croft alive, sitting on a crate. The body of Omar is in the corner. He's gone, the Prime Minister says. He took a satellite phone and disappeared into the trees. He said he was going to Chile. I look at the hillside. The trees are thick, the snow line close. The ghost could be anywhere. How long? 30 minutes. I call Knuckles. We've got Sardar's computer. Got it. Back in the rock. Starbird. I call the Prime Minister with the plan. Good. I need you to send a message. Use his signal account. The Iranian command needs to think the mission is still on track. We're going to set a trap. Knuckles does it. The message goes to Tehran, and the answer comes back. A meeting is scheduled for the next morning at the Shahrud missile test site. The command staff will be present. I look at the Prime Minister. We have a window. Can you get an Air Force strike into Iran? The Prime Minister picks up his phone. I can. 22 hours later, the strike package arrives. Indrali F-35S, flying low and fast, drop JDAMs on the command bunker at Shahrud. The confirmation comes over the radio. Jackpot. Jackpot. Target destroyed. I sit in the Gulf Stream, watching the feed on a tablet. Jennifer is beside me. 3 attacks, she says, stopped. The ghost, the water, the command. We did it. I look out the window at the Pacific Ocean. I wonder what happened to that guy. In the Tierra del Fuego night, the ghost is crawling out of a brush shelter, his leg wound bleeding through the bandage. He stands, checks the Iridium phone, and begins a long hike toward the sea. Episode 6, The End of the World. The ghost wakes into the cold before he opens his eyes. The pain in his leg is a living thing, gnawing at the bone, and the false dawn is a smear of gray through the branches of his brush hide. He crawls out, sweeping snow off the parka, and sits up. The makeshift bandage around his thigh is crusted with dried blood. He peels it back. The wound is red and raw, but it has stopped bleeding. He shifts the cloth to the cleanest part, cinches it down, and grits his teeth. The pain is manageable. He has survived worse. He turns on the Iridium satellite phone. The number Omar stored in the device is still there. He hits send and waits. A man answers on the third ring, speaking Spanish. English? The ghost says. Yes. The voice is cautious. I am the man Omar told you about. I need a boat. The Beagle Channel, by the Catholic shrine at the shore. Tonight, at sunset, the line is silent. The ghost waits. How will I recognize you? I will be the one standing alone on the beach. Another pause. Then the voice says, the price is 5,000 American dollars. Cash. I will pay double. But the boat must be comfortable. I am going to Valparaiso. The man laughs, short and surprised. That is a long way in a fishing boat. You will be paid for the distance. The money is here when you arrive. The line clicks. The connection ends. He stands, testing his weight on the injured leg. The pain spikes, but the leg holds. He begins to walk. The trail to the shore is a narrow track through stunted lenga trees, the ground mushy with half-thawed frost. He moves at a steady pace, not running, not hurrying. 2. He is no longer being chased. The helicopter he heard over the ridge 2 hours ago was the last one. The Americans are gone, the hostage is safe, the mission complete. He is the only piece left, and he is walking away. He thinks about the phone call. Mr. Pink, the man who captured him twice, who told him about the order to terminate him. He had not believed it at first. He had been a loyal soldier for Iran, a weapon for the Pasdaran. But then Omar had confirmed it, and he had driven an ice pick into Omar's jaw. He pauses at a stream and crouches. He cups water to his mouth. The taste is clean and cold, a small mercy. He wonders if Mr. Pink will come after him again. He decides it does not matter. He is not going back to a cage. He is not going back to being a weapon. He stands and continues walking. The fisherman. The sun is dipping toward the horizon when the ghost reaches the shore of the Beagle Channel. The water is gray and cold, rippled by a wind that cuts through his parka. He sees the Catholic shrine, a white figure of the Virgin Mary on a stone pedestal, facing the sea. He walks to it and stands, watching the water. 30 minutes later, a fishing boat appears around the point. It is a small vessel, the hull rust-streaked, a net spool visible on the stern. The engine coughs as it idles toward the shore. He sees a man in a yellow rain slicker at the helm. The boat anchors 20 meters out. A dinghy is lowered and the man rows in. He is perhaps 50, with a face weathered by salt and wind. He ships the oars and looks at the ghost. You are the man Omar sent? I am. The man nods. The money? He reaches into his parka and pulls out the credit card. This account has enough. I will pay each of your crew. A season's worth of fishing. But the boat must go to Valparaiso. The man takes the card, examines it, and looks at the ghost. This is not cash. It is better than cash. It is untraceable. And the bank will not ask questions if the withdrawal is on a fishing port. The man is silent for a long moment. Then he says, "Get in the dinghy." He steps into the boat. The man rows them back to the fishing trawler. He climbs the rope ladder to the deck, and a crewman of about 20, with a face dense with acne, watches him. He turns to the captain. I need a place to sleep. I need food, and I need you to stay away from the coast until we are 400 miles south. The captain looks at the credit card again. We can do that? The crewman picks up the dinghy, wraps the rope around a cleat, and the trawler engines engage. The deck vibrates. The shore begins to pull away. He watches the shrine grow smaller, the white figure of Mary becoming a speck against the darkening hills. He closes his eyes and breathes. The air smells like diesel and salt, and for the first time since he was a child, he feels something he does not have a name for. He leans back against the cabin wall. The crewman with the acne is still watching him. I'm going to buy a fish market, he says, in Valparaiso. The crewman does not respond. The ghost does not care. Video 1. Hours later, on the Rockstar Bird, Pike watches a video on a laptop. It is a satellite image of the Beagle Channel, timestamped an hour ago. A single fishing vessel is 20 miles south of the shoreline, heading toward Cape Horn. Trude, section, Chanto der Bead. Shoshana sits down beside him. You are watching him leave. Just curious. He will be free now. If he reaches Chile, there is no reason to pursue him. He is no longer a threat. Pike closes the laptop. I know. You called him. You told him the truth. He killed Omar because of that call. He gave us the airstrike because of that call. Pike does not answer. Lar. Shoshana touches his arm. You are troubled because you understand him. I understand what it is like to be used by men who do not care if you live or die. That is not the same as understanding him. Shoshana smiles, a flicker. You are more alike than you admit. Pike looks out the window at the dark ocean. The Gulf Stream is climbing through cloud layers. The cabin lights low. Jennifer is asleep in the row behind them, her carbine across her lap. Is it over? Pike asks. The operation? Yes. The airstrike destroyed the command bunker at Sharud. The Israelis are searching for the dirty bomb with drones. They have some time, maybe a week, before the device degrades. But it is a ticking clock, and they know it. And the 3 attacks? The water plot is stopped. Sardar is in custody. The assassination in Buenos Aires failed. The ghost is gone. The council will call it a victory, but the president knows the truth. The radiological bomb is still out there, somewhere in the West Bank. Pike is quiet for a moment. Then he says, we should have found it. You could not. The ghost gave us the target, but the Iranians buried it deep. It will take time. Time we don't have. Shoshana shrugs. Then we get very good at using the time we have. Pike closes his eyes. The engines hum. The cabin is warm. The uneven score. Knuckles calls from DC. He is sitting in a motel room, Sardar's computer on the table in front of him, a cup of coffee cold beside his hand. Sardar is talking. He confirmed the West Bank device is a dirty bomb, cesium-137, stolen from a hospital in Guam 3 years ago. The Israelis will find it, but they need to know where to look. They don't know? He says the order to deploy it came from the Shahrud command, and they are dead. The field operatives are scattered. The device is hidden in a sealed tunnel under the Jenin refugee camp. The Prime Minister's intelligence people are working on locating it now. Knuckles, you sound tired. I killed 2 men today. One of them asked me not to kill him, and I did it anyway. I was thinking of Marley. Pike says nothing. He presses the bridge of his nose. Did it help? Knuckles laughs, a short bark. No, it just made me remember that we are not going to fix the world. We are going to stop a few bad things from happening, and then we are going to go home, and the next bad thing will happen, and we will stop it again. That's the job. Then we are good at the job. Yeah, that's the problem. The line goes silent. Then Knuckles says, do you want me to go after him? The ghost? Pike looks at the window. He could say yes. He could send Knuckles to Chile, to Valparaiso, to a fishing dock where a man in a yellow slicker is unloading crates of mackerel. He could end it. No, let him go. Are you sure? I called him. I gave him the out. It would be a bad look to cancel it now. Knuckles laughs again, softer this time. That's the most leadership I've heard from you in years. Don't get used to it. Copy. The Ghost. On the fishing trawler, the ghost sits on a coil of rope watching the sea. The crewman with the acne has gone below. The captain is on the bridge, the wheel stationary, the engine a constant thrum. He feels the rhythm of the water and the freedom in every molecule of the air. He pulls out the iridium phone, the one Omar's number was stored in, and holds it in his palm. He could call Mr. Pink. He could say something. He is not sure what. He imagines the voice on the other end. Mr. Pink. Instead, he takes the battery out of the phone and drops it into the sea. Then he takes the phone and drops it after, watching the device sink through the dark water, bubbles rising to the surface. The crewman with the acne reappears. He looks at the spot where the phone went down. You threw away a good phone. It was attached to the past. Are you not in the past now? The ghost looks at him. The man is young, maybe 19. His face is broken out, as if someone poured grease along his forehead, but his eyes are alert. Yes. What is your name? Miguel. I am Abdul. I am going to buy a fish market in Valparaiso. Do you know a good boat to buy? Miguel stares at him. You are serious. I am not in the habit of lying. Miguel thinks about it. My uncle sold his boat last year. The owner did not take care of it, and the engine failed off Punta Arenas. It is for sale cheap. Where is it? Punta Arenas. But you do not want that boat. It is a death trap. Everything is a death trap, Miguel. The trick is to pick the one that floats long enough. Miguel laughs. It is the first real laugh the ghost has heard in a long time. Fair enough. He leans back, the trawler slices through the water, and the sky is opening above him, stars emerging in the dusk. He thinks about the fire in Lebanon, the street in Gaza, the cell in Utah, the apartment in Argentina. He thinks about Mr. Pink. He closes his eyes. He feels the trawler moving beneath him, carrying him south. The wind picks up, cold and sharp. He thinks, I am free. He thinks, I am going to buy a fish market. He does not open his eyes again until the coast of Tierra del Fuego is out of sight. 2 of the 3 attacks are stopped. The third, a dirty bomb hidden somewhere under the Jenin refugee camp, remains unlocated. Its trigger command destroyed, but its radiological payload still underground. The ghost, the man who was supposed to be the centerpiece of Iran's triple strike, has vanished into southern Chile with a story about buying a fish market. Pike Logan chooses not to chase him. The book ends not with a clean resolution but with a suspended note. The most dangerous weapon in the story is still loose, and the man who could have led them to it is gone. This is the 17th book in Brad Taylor's Taskforce series. Taylor is a former Delta Force operator. He spent 21 years in the military, most of that time in special operations units, before moving to a private sector counterterrorism role and then to writing. That background is the reason his tactical details carry weight. The way his teams breach rooms, the way they handle dead drops and surveillance detection routes, the way they talk about hostile intent as a legal fiction rather than a real criterion, all of it comes from lived experience, not research. The series has been running since 2008, and reviewers consistently note that its strength is procedural credibility over character depth. Kirkus called one of the earlier installments a thinking person's thriller, which is code for the tech and tactics are the point. And that tech is the part that lands differently now than it did when Taylor wrote it. Consider how Knuckles tracks Sardar. The Iranian commander was picked up on a security camera in a zoo, his image run through facial recognition against state drivers' license databases. That match gave Knuckles a name, Shane Tuscadero, and a CDL number that tied him to the tanker truck. From there, an IMEI trace on Shane's phone placed him at the McMillan sand filtration site. The encrypted signal chat on the dead Iranian's computer was cracked within hours by Creed's custom tools, revealing the 3 attack plan and the order to terminate the ghost. None of this is speculative anymore. By 2024, U.S. law enforcement had already demonstrated the ability to obtain signal message contents through legal requests confirmed in multiple federal court filings. Real-time facial recognition in public spaces is operational in dozens of cities. The IMEI and ALPR triangulation that Knuckles used is standard investigative practice. The task force's technological arsenal is, in broad strokes, a mirror of what state intelligence agencies can already do. And yet the Ghost beats it, not with a counter-hack or a dead man switch, but with something simpler. The key detail that matters: he left his phone behind on purpose. He deliberately left it powered on in the cabin so Pike could find the hostages. Then he walked into a forest, ditched a second phone in the Beagle Channel, and hired an unregistered fishing boat with a verbal promise and a hot credit card. The captain doesn't run a IS tracking. The crew doesn't use smartphones. The transaction is settled in cash drawn from an account that will be closed before anyone traces the withdrawal. He does not need to defeat the system. He just needs to not be in it. The hunters have never been more powerful, and the simplest countermeasure has never been more effective. But there is a moral layer here that the technical reading misses. Ghost does not run because he outsmarted the surveillance state. He runs because he first chose to fail the mission to spare the hostages, to kill his handler, to let Pike find them. The decoupling from the digital grid is the second step, not the first. The first step was a decision about what kind of man he wanted to be. That is the part no algorithm could track, no signal chat could predict, no CDL database could flag. So, the real final image of the book is not the JDAM strike on Shaurud or the cabin rescue. It is a man on the deck of a rust-streaked trawler, talking to a young crewman with acne, saying he wants to buy a fish market. The engine may fail halfway to Valparaiso. The journey may take 3 weeks instead of 3 days. But for the first time in his adult life, Abdul Rahman the Ghost, the assassin, the legend has something no network can track: a choice. He is not redeemed. He is not forgiven. He is simply, for now, outside the grid. And in a story built on the premise that technology can find anyone, that quiet exit is the one thing the system cannot stop.